Hey, it's Hutch from Hutch High Perf, back at it. Today it's the intake, so let me swing the camera around. I'll show you what we're doing. There she is. Doesn't she look pretty? So as I was saying, I've got to drill a hole out here to fit this bung so I can fit my coolant temp sensor that runs the rally gauge inside the car. So that's where that's got to go, and I've got to drill a hole. So that's what we're doing today. So this drilled out, this goes in the freezer. When I'm happy with that, this goes in the oven. This gets cold, that gets hot, this slips in there, and it gives me a nice interference fit, and that should stay exactly where I want. Then I can just run out, have it welded up, and then I can worry about everything else. Okay, so step one, this goes in the baggie, and then the baggie goes in the freezer. Get that nice and cold. Oh, yeah, doing stuff one-handed is not fun. All right, step one, freezer. Step two, let's get this intake manifold off. There we go. Oh, tag on it. Ouch. I think I put a little scratch on that. Look at this hot bundle of fail. This is a mess. Anyway, I'm out in the shed because there's just not enough room in the garage with everything else to put any decent stand-up power tools. Yeah, let's get in a little closer and see how this mess looks. All right, so we use this to drill our pilot hole, and then from there I'll just keep stepping up the drill bits until I get to the actual size. Probably go through a couple just to slowly work this thing out instead of having to grind on it too hard. It's already very precarious, so I'm not trying to press down on this. I've got it locked down a little bit, but yeah, it's still it's still just, I don't know. I'm trying to be careful here, I guess. I already see for the bigger sizes I'm going to have to take this whole thing apart and lower my stand because I've got it up way too high and I'm never going to be able to fit the other drill bit in the chuck. So yay, I've got to take this whole thing apart that's barely held together and do it all over. Well, there it is. Hole is cut, and I even chamfered the edge a little bit just to give the guy a little bit of space for the TIG to kind of go into. Hopefully helps with penetration a little bit. So before I send it off, I'm going to mess with this a little bit and just see what I can do. Look how rough this casting is, and you can see a definite parting line. It's almost like this is your low-rise intake, and then they just I don't know, it's like they cast an extra block on the top of it, and that's like your high-rise. So I'm hoping I'm not going to mess anything up, but look at it, it's just so porous and just like it looks horrible. I can't take it. I can't take it. So you can see the parting line goes all the way around. So even in here, I don't know how much in here I'm going to do, just because I don't know. You're going to have the two carbs and everything in the air cleaner. You're probably not going to see up in there. I might smooth that a little, but I'm not going to go crazy like I am on the sides that you're going to see. So I'm just going to use a couple different angle grinders and get at it. So if you've ever watched Make It Custom, and I do the same thing, and he talks about this. So when you're done with your 3-inch disc, all you're really wearing out is this corner, right? Because you're kind of grinding on the edge of this. You really don't, the center is still good. So all I do is I buy 3-inch discs, and that's it. So then when I need discs for my little 2-inch over here, I just take, and you can see kind of it's a little bit lumpy, but I just take the take the 3-inch disc, screw it onto the 2-inch disc, and then just take a, I don't know, I'll take my side cutters or scissors or tin snips, and I'll just trim around and cut it down to a 2-inch. I get double duty out of all my grinding pads. So yeah, so if you're not doing that, do that. It's going to save you money. So you only have to buy one, you got all the others. So it's not bad. Anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of grinding on this and just see what I can do. I'll start, this is for metal, and the red is for like aluminum, a little bit softer. So I'm going to probably start out with this and just see how much I can cut real quick using that. And then if that kind of goes slow, then I'll switch over to metal, or I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll get a flat disc. I don't know. But I want to try to smooth that out, but not like, I don't want to go crazy, because I'm going to have to try to, I want to simulate this kind of cast look. And it's not, like if you've seen those Edelbrock intakes, the casting is like, it's really bumpy. It's like peppered. I don't know. And this is way more smooth. So I might even just clean off one little spot and spray it and see what it looks like. I may save myself a bunch of work, because it's really smooth. It's got a little bit of cast to it, but not a whole lot. And once the paint goes on, you might not see that at all. So the whole thing might come out smooth. And if that's the case, then I might be able to smooth this out, and when the paint goes over it after a couple of coats, it may completely disappear, and then it'll just look like the rest of it. We'll see. Anyway, I'm talking about what's going to happen, and I haven't done what needs to get done. So let's do that first. All right, who ordered the sugar cookie? Well, now that I got the magic dust everywhere, yeah, I had to go straight to like a 38 grit to knock down the heavy stuff, and then finish it off with 80. So yeah, I think that looks that looks probably as good as I'm going to get it. So that was one side. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6. I don't know if I'm going to mess with the stuff in the middle, but at least 4 more sides to go. So yeah, that was fun, and this stuff is everywhere. All right, well, more grinding. The good news is this giant pile of aluminum shavings was free of charge. It was on the manifold at no cost to me. Anyway, I think done a pretty good job of getting rid of all that cast flash, parting lines. Yeah, maybe not quite so much on the back here. No one's going to see this. It's the back of the engine, right? We're looking this way. So as long as I got all this looking pretty, I think we're going to be okay. So now comes the interesting part. Did I do my math correctly? Did I get the right drill bit that's going to allow this to interference fit in? The bung is in the freezer. This is going to go into the oven, and I'm going to see if it works. So wish me luck. Next part is hot intake. Ooh, hot, 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 hot. I think it might have been off in my estimation. Can I tap it in? Is it just there? Ooh, this thing's... Nope. Well, so much for plans. I had to use a grinding stone and wall out the hole to be able to get that thing to fit in there. So I was able to open up the hole enough to get that to just like snug down in, and then I used a dead blow mallet and I just drove it down to the height I wanted it. That is where our coolant sensor will go that drives the gauge in the car. And it'll be a sister to the other side that's actually made onto the intake. So now I have to wait and go off to my guy tomorrow to do the TIG welding. And hopefully I haven't put that in too deep that he's he's unhappy with it. I guess we could pry it back up, but it's I had to love tap it in there kind of good. So yeah, so I'll come back once the welding is done, and then I'm going to do a test spray on, let me swing this around. So I'm going to do a test spray on this one runner and this sidewall that I smoothed out. So I'm just going to tape everything off. I'm going to do a couple of coats of primer, and then I'm going to heat dry it to the point where I can do some light sanding if I see any major imperfections, and then I'll sand it, and then I'll throw a coat of the paint I'm going to use, and we'll see what that looks like. Like I said, this casting is really smooth, and when the paint goes on, that casting look may just completely go away. So if that's the case, and this just blends into that, and you really can't tell the difference, that's going to make my job a lot easier, because I don't want it to look like this. I want it to look just like it was cast this way, not jacked up like it was, but actually professional looking. I don't know, to the point where I'd be happy to have it on the car and go to a car show and have someone look at it and not go, ah, that looks horrible. So I think that's where we're at right now. So I'm going to cut it here, and then I'll be back once the TIG welding's done. Well, since I got you waiting and we're waiting for the intake to get welded up, I thought I would take just a sec to again thank you guys immensely for coming back time after time whenever I post a video to come look at it. Not putting up big numbers, but I'm not trying to. This isn't a full-time job for me. This is just a hobby, and it's what I'm doing. But I really do appreciate you guys. I appreciate the support I get. You buying shirts, that's cool. This goes right back into the project. I'm getting a little bit from YouTube for the videos when they show. So it's all good, and I really do appreciate you guys. If no one was watching, I wouldn't be doing it, and I'd probably be faster on the car than I am right now. But you know, I'm happy to be here. I've had a couple of really good videos that have kind of caught on. It seems like whenever I'm rebuilding something, the Saginaw 800, the tilt steering column, things like that, everyone really seems to be jazzed for that. And I've had one or two, not many, but a couple people come and say on the comments, hey man, I wish you had like some type of Patreon or something. I'd kick you a couple dollars. You saved my butt putting that tilt steering column in. And I actually do have I have a Cash App. Just it makes it easier sometimes when you're buying parts, especially when you go to shows or you swap meets and things like that. If the guy's got the same app, you can swap money. It just makes it so much easier than just carrying around cash all the time. Anyway, I do have that. So I think what I'll do, I'm not even going to talk about it except for this one time. But down in the corner, I'm just going to put the Cash App address to me. And I don't know, if you feel inclined, if video I did helped you out, man, if you want to give me $1 or $2, whatever, it doesn't matter. Do nothing. It's going to be the same. I promise you. But all the money that I get from T-shirts, from YouTube, and if you send me something to Cash App, whatever, all that money goes straight back into the car. I mean, literally, all the money goes back into the car. That's what I use to buy parts. When it comes to consumables, things like that, grinding discs, pads, all that stuff, it all comes out of that money.
I don't buy a soda. I don't get a hamburger. I don't get a pizza out of any of that stuff. It is all going right back into the car. And I need every cent of it because prices aren't getting any cheaper.
Over $1,300,000,000. This
is not a hobby for the weak. This will break you if you're not careful, if you get too ambitious. Anyway, I'm done running my mouth. Glad you're here. Subscribe, hit the bell, do the things, go to the t-shirt shop, all the stuff. You know what to do, and I will be eternally grateful. So let's get back to it.
Well, that took longer than I thought it would. For you, it was instantaneous. For me, it actually took a couple of days. Guy couldn't get to it right away, so I had to wait. And then, of course, it's in the middle of the week now, and I'm working, so now it's the next weekend. So, yeah, anyway, I got it done. Did a really good job. I like it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to smooth out the weld just a little bit to kind of, when it's painted, make it look like maybe it was made that way, so it's not like quite so apparent. So if you look real close, it's like as he stacked the TIG as he was going around. I'm just going to try to get rid of some of that stacking and smooth it out, and then yeah, we'll be ready to go. All right, let's take a look. Okay, and let's be honest. That is a cast-in plug for your coolant temp sensor. That is not, but it at least now doesn't look quite as apparent, right? I molded it in, kind of smoothed out all the edges. I think it looks better. So better for me right now is good enough. So yeah, that's about as best as I think I'm going to be able to get that. And once it's all painted, and then you have the sensor in there, and then the wire comes up to it, and all that stuff, hopefully it just disappears. That's my intent. So we'll see. All right, so now let's move on. Like I said, I'm going to paint this one runner and paint this edge that I sanded all the casting flash and everything off of, and the parting line. And then we'll just tape everything off, paint this one section, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, so let's just hit this a little bit, just enough to give it some scuff so paint will hold. The same prep I would do for the rest of the manifold when the time comes. We're just going to do this area right here, and then up in here, same thing. I probably could have hit this some more. I will. see how it turns out once the paint goes on it. A little bit of acetone, clean everything up so you get all that junk off. And then we'll taper up. All right, let's throw some tape on this junk. All right, break the tarp back out. You know what that means. Oh, no. Stop it. Light coat, 10-minute wait. Light coat number 2. Another 10 minutes. So this is the same engine enamel primer with ceramic from Duplicolor that I've been using on the entire engine so far, and that is DE1612 Gray Primer. This is the Duplicolor engine enamel with ceramic. This is the same one I used on the back of the engine and also for the brackets for the serpentine belt. That's DE1650 cast coat aluminum. Well, trying to be fancy, I forgot how heavy this stuff goes on, so it's a little runny, but we're going to let it dry and see what we look like. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. Okay, so really once this dries, after primer and everything else, it's not a lot of cast that you can see through all the paint. Let's turn this around. Yeah, let's get down here. All right, so this is the transition from the top up into this. Now obviously with the paint on there, it makes it very abundant that I I need to go back and clean this up. I've got some gouges in here that I couldn't see because it was all shiny like this and just I didn't catch it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably strip this off just so I start clean. And I don't think I'm gonna have to do anything. It looks to me and it feels to me like the exact same finish, just about. So what I'm going to do is strip all this off and I'm going to primer the entire thing, and then in primer I'm going to be able to see these little imperfections, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to smooth and keep primering until this is, I don't know, to a point where I'm very happy with it, so it's going to look presentable. And then I'll paint the whole intake, and then it'll go on the car. All right, well, I think that's it for now. So in front of me is a bunch of sanding and primering and sanding and primering and sanding and primering and painting, and then it'll be ready to be installed back onto the engine in the car, and then I can get back onto the wiring harness, which is what I really want to do right now. I'm itching to get going on that. So yeah, I'm gonna do a bunch of work to this, and then the next video when I come back, it'll be ready to go on the car, and then we'll get back on the wiring. So really appreciate you being here. Again, subscribe, like, comment, do all the things, t-shirt shop, Cash App, you know what to do. So anyway, thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.